Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's MicroStrategy session. Today's presenter from MicroStrategy is Suhail. Suhail, over to you. You can start the session.
Thank you, Rakesh, for the introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Suhail, and I am the principal consultant at Reddington Gulf for analytics, IoT, and RPA. I hope all of you can listen to me. I'm clearly audible to all of you guys. Just can you please confirm in the chat box if you can listen? I mean, if you can hear me properly. Let me just check this. Okay.
Yes,
I believe, yeah,
and
yeah. Okay.
your voice is
Thank
very audible. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Rakesh. Thanks a lot. Yeah. So today I would be talking about how you can design like a BI enterprise, like a BI business intelligence architecture for your organization. What all is required, how the architecture needs to look like, and so this is what I would be talking in my discussion. Okay, so to give a brief overview about MicroStrategy, MicroStrategy has been a pioneer in the area of business intelligence, data analytics, and data sciences since the year 1989. Like they have a strong presence across the globe. Okay, and they have really big customers associated with them. So over the years, like we have seen an explosion in the data, right? We have seen data going tremendously. I mean, the way the volume at which the data has been growing has been tremendous, but there has been a gap on how you tap these data sources, like the information that you extract from these data sources. I mean, there has been a gap. Like you have lots of data that is lying around organization, but how much of that data is being used for your analysis? I mean, this needs to be understand. Okay, so what MicroStrategy did is that MicroStrategy came up with an idea, okay, of making each and every enterprise to be an intelligent enterprise. So for this, what they did is they actually defined something called as the map of intelligent enterprise, which I'll be showing you in the next slide how it actually looks like. Okay, so this is how the map of intelligent enterprise actually looks like. So usually when you talk of BI, what do you think of it? I mean, you usually think of it is just a plain reporting. You have a data source in the backend, and you have some reports, you have some portal through which you can access your reports. Okay, I mean, that is not what BI is all about. So BI is all about defining an intelligent platform across your organization. It's about having a strong data governance policy across your organization. It's about defining the right data sets, defining the right data quality, and which department or what person is responsible for what kind of data. Okay, it's all about this. So what MicroStrategy did is that they actually came up with this idea wherein they defined each and every parameter that are associated with the design of a BI enterprise. Okay, so I will be explaining about this intelligent platform, the enterprise assets, and the user functions, devices, application tools, roles that we actually see in here. Okay, this okay. So like moving on to the next slide. Enterprises basically need like they actually need an optimum architecture. Okay, to support your organization goals. Okay, I mean, it's not that you have an organization goal and you do not have a BI architecture in place to fulfill that requirement. You need to have a set of parameter that needs to be defined. So MicroStrategy actually helps you uh, with the with defining of the functionality of your architecture with it helps with the scalability, it helps with the security. Okay, it helps with the stability, and in terms of the economy, it actually helps you manage multiple enterprise environment. Okay, using a single workstation. By this, what I mean to say is that, like, if you are a big organization wherein you have multiple clusters or multiple nodes, so by this, what I mean to say is that you just can have one single workstation from wherein you can control all your deployments across the organization. From this one MicroStrategy workstation, you can control all your nodes, all the clusters that you have in your nodes. Okay, moving on. See, this is actually the most important thing, the metadata of your organization. Like when you are planning or when you have a vision to design an enterprise business intelligence platform, I mean, this what you see over here, this complete area, it's actually the most important part. Okay, this will act as a single version of truth for your enterprises. Now, how, and you might come and ask me how this will act as a single version of truth. So I will talking about that in detail in the next few slides. Okay, but when you're defining a single version of truth, there are few things that you need to keep in mind. The most important thing that comes to the mind, it's actually, okay, it's the data governance policy, it's the governance, it's the security, it's the compliance, okay, it's the accessibility. So all these factors actually come into the consideration when you're designing a BI platform. So when you're defining a single version of truth for your enterprise, let's example, for example, let's take a banking example. Okay, let's take a banking example, and you have this multiple system in place. Like for example, you have the core banking system, you have the auto lease system, you have the money laundering system, you have this remittance systems. Okay, now your organization is looking for some reportings on top of the systems. What usually happens? Okay, in a typical scenario, what you would be using is that you would be getting the data separately from each systems, right? On one hand, you'll be getting the data from the core banking. On the other hand, you'll be getting the data from the money laundering. And on the third hand, you'll be getting from the remittance and whatnot. Then once you get the data from all these three or four or five departments, you need to work on consolidating these reports. Okay, but what MicroStrategy does is that it actually combines the data from multiple sources that you have to create a single version of truth. And this is actually done through a feature called semantic graph that I'll be showing in the next few slides. Moving on, MicroStrategy workstation, okay, also helps you define the users, the functions, the devices, the applications, tools, everything. Okay, so in a way, it is actually helping you give a strong control of what user is accessing what kind of data. I mean, you do not want a analyst user to be accessing reports for a director. Okay, you need to define level of hierarchy, level of security, and this map of intelligent enterprise that's been out by the MicroStrategy, it helps you define that. Okay, I mean, there are various roles within this BI platform that you need to define. Like you might have the roles for your executives, for your business users, for your analysts, for your data scientists, for your developers. Okay, so each user, I mean, each role have a different preference. Like for example, executives actually love to work with Outlook, with Excel, with PowerPoint, and the business users or the departmental users, they actually love to work with Tableau, Power BI, or Click. Then you have analysts who are interested in working with Alteryx or Trifacta. Then you also have data scientists who actually love to work with R, Python, SAS, and again you have these developers. So MicroStrategy supports all these people who are interested or who actually love to work with this kind of tools. Fine. Moving on. Now, the most important thing, it's actually your data. No matter what kind of platform you have in place, if you do not have a strong connectivity to your data sources, I mean, there is no means, I mean, it actually means nothing to have your BI platform. So The most important thing over here is that MicroStrategy provides you with 200 plus data connectors. Okay, I mean, whether the data be in it, whether the data that you have, whether that be in a structured format or unstructured format or semi-structured format, as evident in this example. Okay, or if you have a data coming in from various applications, say for uh, Oracle ERP, I mean, you have a data coming in from Facebook, from Google, from SharePoint. Okay, no matter from which application you have data coming in, you can integrate all these data sources with the MicroStrategy platform. Okay, so if you look at the structured databases that you can integrate with the MicroStrategy platform, you have the SQL databases like Oracle, SQL Server, then you have Exasol, then you have SAP HANA. Then if you're looking at the unstructured or semi-structured database, then you have this Cloudera, then you have MongoDB, okay, and the Hadoop side, okay, and this many things. So there is no limitation to it. I mean, the list is endless. The kind of data sources that you can connect to MicroStrategy is actually quite big. Now the main point that I want to come to, how you can achieve, I mean, how you can design this universal layer, this centralized version of truth for your organization. How can you do that? How can you define a layer on top of which you can do a BI reporting for across your organization that needs to be consistent? I mean there are no anomalies. I mean there are no conflicts between this department in terms of the numbers, in terms of the KPIs, in terms of the values that you see. So how this can be achieved is that it can be achieved through a feature called semantic graph, enterprise semantic graph, that MicroStrategy introduced way back in the year 2019, and it also comes with 2020. So basically, what it provides you is that it provides you a Google-like index for all your enterprise data assets. Okay, it categorizes and federates your data investment in real time, consistently enriching the index with location intelligence and usage telemetry. So by this, what I mean to say is that once you define your centralized version of truth, okay, so what usually happens is that it actually acts as a repository. Fine. Once it acts as a repository, what it does is that the system automatically create indexes on top of objects and attributes that you're accessing on a frequent basis. Okay, and based on the usage telemetry, based on the usage statistics that it actually collects, and it will help improve the performance for your BI reports. I mean, why? I mean, and you might come and ask me, like, I have multiple tools out there in the market. For example, I have SSAS, I have the Denodo, I have multiple platforms like I can that I can go with. But why do I need to why do I need to go with this enterprise semantic graph? So there are three reasons: the data abstraction. This is to eliminate the data complexity with the consolidated business glossary. Then the object reusability and the trusted governance. By data abstraction, what I mean to say is that, I mean, you might have two objects coming from multiple systems. Like for example, you might have customer information or the customer name coming from the core banking system, from the anti-money laundering system, and that's coming from the Autoly system. So you need to define it as a single version of truth. As an analyst, it will be really difficult for you to select, like, what is the correct format or what is the correct thing that I should select for my reporting. So what this does is that by data abstraction, it will eliminate the complexity, the confusion that is there, and what it will do is that it will actually combine this data, this object, into a single object. Okay. So what it will do is that it will make joins, like it will relate the core banking system to the money laundering system to the Autolist system, and it will take a single source of information from that, the customer name. Okay. And in terms of the object reusability, by this what I mean to say is that once you define a report, okay, I mean you have created a report. Now again you're looking forward towards creating a report again. So what you can do is that instead of recreating your report, or instead of developing your report from the scratch, what you can do is that you can use the objects that you had created in the first place. Okay, some of the benefits that you have with the industry's semantic graph is that it actually consistently enriches the index with location intelligence and usage telemetry, as I was talking in my previous slide. Okay, it actually helps you with the data abstraction, with the reusable models, with the change proliferation. And in terms of the performance, how it helps you is that it enables you multi-node clustering, multi-level caching, and parallel processing. Now, when you speak of the governance, it provides you with the row level security. By this, you can control what object is being accessed, or what attribute is being accessed by what person. I mean, as I was talking earlier, you do not want a person to have unauthorized access to a set of information that he is not authorized for. So, using this, you can do that. So, how semantic graph actually looks like is that you have these various data sources in here, multiple data sources that you have. I mean, these are some of the data sources, but you can have much more than this. You have 200 plus data connectors. Then you define a layer in between. Then on top of this layer, you can use any visualization tool that you want. Okay, suppose you're not interested in using MicroStrategy visualization tool. I mean, that's completely fine. I mean, every person has got his own preference. But I mean, once you define a centralized layer using MicroStrategy, what you can do is that you can use Power BI, Tableau, Click, or whatever application you want. It's up to you. But the main essence of the semantic graph is that it actually is helping you create a centralized, a single source of truth across your organization. That is the main essence. I mean, of this semantic graph that you see here, the main essence is creating the single version of truth and single point of contact, and having a strong data governance policy in place. As I was talking previously, see, uh, you can combine the data from multiple source systems. Okay, using the enterprise semantic graph. For example, in this slide that we see, we have data coming in from marketing, we have data coming in from sales, and we have data coming in from operations, as you can see this. Then what we are doing is that using the semantic graph, we have consolidated these data sources, right? And after this, what we are doing is that we are creating reports by taking these leads and accounts from the marketing system. Leads and accounts are two objects that we are taking from the marketing system. Then product is another object and or an attribute that we are taking from the sales system. Then location is another attribute that we are taking it from the operation systems. So what I'm doing is that I'm combining the attributes from these three systems, marketing, sales, and forecasting, with the help of semantic graph, to create a single version of truth. Okay, so right now, I do not, as an analyst or an end user, I do not need to contact marketing department separately, my sales department separately, or my operations department separately. No, I'm not doing that. The semantic graph is enabling me to combine the data from multiple source systems and create a single version of truth. And the good thing is that you can deploy this on any platform. This enterprise semantic graph, it can be, once you have the semantic graph deployed, you can access this information through your mobile, through your web, through your office, through your email. Okay, no matter what platform you have, you can do that. You can perform self-service, you can design hypercards, you can define dashboards, you can do your transaction level reporting. No matter what you want, you can actually do that. So this slides actually gives a pretty good explanation. Okay, so I'm taking a region attribute from my relational source, that's the RDBMS. I'm also taking it from other sources, that's the what do you call, a big data source. That's my region, this is what I'm taking it from. On the other hand, what I'm doing is that I'm also taking a gross profit. My profit, it's actually a metric, it's a number. that I am taking from where? From my Hadoop system and from my relational data source system. Okay, so I am actually combining the data from these two systems, from the relational data source and from the big data systems. Once I have these attribute and metric, on top of that, what I can do is that I can visualize, I can create prompts. Okay, I can create forms, I can blend the data. Okay, I can create various templates. Fine. Once I do this, I can consume this data on top of any applications that I create. I can create an application like, for example, a self-survey application or a dashboard or a dossier or an application for my iPhone or iPad or my Android, like no matter what it is. Fine. So semantic graph is actually helping you combine the data from multiple systems, as evident in this slide. I mean, you are able to combine the attribute, you are able to attribute from one system and metric from other system. Okay, which actually helps you take the right decision at the right place and the right time. And the good thing is that it can be reused for some other reports also. Like, for example, in a report A, you are using an attribute, say location. Okay, then you are using a metric, say uh, amount of sales for that particular location, and you have various parameters associated with it. Good, you have created a report. Now you also want to create a report, for example, for department, for your finance department, to see what is the total sales that have been made in a particular region. So instead of creating this attributes, this metric again, what I can do is that as a person, as an analyst from the finance department, I can reuse the attribute and metric that was created by the sales department and use it in my report. See, so with this, a lot of effort is being saved. I do not need to redesign my reports. I do not need to redesign my attributes and metric. That's the benefit that you get with semantic graph. In addition to this, you can also have predefined filters. Okay, you can have predefined prompts that you do not need to recreate. The way you used it for the attribute and metric, you can use the filters and prompt the same way. You can actually reuse it. That's the best part. Okay, and like, if you look at the technical perspective, some of the benefits of having this enterprise graph in an organization is that they have in-memory cubes that actually helps with the it actually helps you with the slicing and dicing. uh, you do not have to re-execute the SQL against your data warehouse. So the to and fro that happens between the BI portal and the hard disk is actually reduced, because a lot of data, majority of the data that you're looking for is actually residing in your cubes. Okay, then you have the multi-level caching, then you have the push down architecture and the multipass SQL engine. By push down architecture, by this what I mean to say is that MicroStrategy as a platform will push down the queries. I mean, it is capable of using the processing power of your database, the machine on top of which your database is installed. And in addition to using its processing power, it can push down, okay, the queries, the long running queries. I mean, the queries that are complex in nature to the database. Okay, movingness. Then you have this clustering feature. You have the user workbench. You have the multi-sourcing. By clustering, what I mean to say is that MicroStrategy helps you configure servers in a cluster, which actually works as a single logical unit. Okay, and it can be distributed across nodes. And the best thing about this cluster, about this distributed nodes, is that you can manage all this from a single platform, MicroStrategy workstation. Then you have this multi-sourcing, that as I was talking about, the various data sources that you have, the 200 plus data sources. Then the administration is actually quite easy. Okay, you have this our MicroStrategy command manager that allows administrator to build, test, and execute automated scripts. Okay, and then you have the usage and the telemetry, like what which actually provides you with the real time status of your system. Okay, so MicroStrategy Enterprise Manager facilitates proactive administration of a BI environment by measuring the performance and usage of the system. Uh, this okay. Now coming to the granular level security that maximizes. I mean, this granular level security is something that I want to talk about. This is really important from a governance perspective. Okay, as I was telling you, when you are designing a BI platform, one of the most important things that you need to take into consideration, it's the security, it's the compliance. I mean, for example, if you're working in a bank, you need to make sure that the sensitive information related to the financial transactions or related to the politically exposed person or related to the credit card or a debit card information or the CVV information should not be leaked, right? I mean, your BI platform needs to be PCI compliant. What do? You need to make sure that there is no leak happening. I mean, how do you control that? Fine. So using MicroStrategy Workstation, you can define granular level security. Like you can define the object level access. You can actually define like access for each and every single object. Like if you have a defined BI platform, on this platform you have, say, suppose 1,000 objects. Okay, so you can define the security by grouping them. Okay, and you can define the security for all these 1,000 objects as evident in this what do you call, in this slide. You can see like the kind of access that we can define, like whether they can see, whether they can use it in the reports, whether they can write it or make. By this what I mean to say, can they make modification to any object, can they change the business rules, or do they have the authority to delete the particular object, and the control. So this is the most important thing when you're defining a BI platform. This is the most important thing, the governance part, and this can be done using the access control list from MicroStrategy. The importance of governance is only realized wherein the data is actually valued as an asset, wherein data is it's seen something that is really critical, highly sensitive. Okay, it is the place wherein you realize the importance of having a strong compliance policy, a strong data governance policy across the organization. Then, to summarize it up, MicroStrategy is actually designed to build, deploy, and manage enterprise-grade analytics. Okay, they also have a strong mobility platform, and there is something called as hyper intelligence. By hyper intelligence, what I mean to say is that they are injecting analytics, they are injecting insights directly into the applications that you use on a daily basis. I'll be showing you a small demo of how hyper intelligence actually looks like. So, okay, and when it comes to the deployment of this BI platform using MicroStrategy, this BI platform using MicroStrategy can be deployed on any operating systems, like it can be deployed on Windows, on Linux. Then in terms of the virtualization, it can be on VMware. Then on cloud, you can do on Amazon. Then you can do on Microsoft Azure, the Alibaba Cloud, the Google Cloud, the Oracle, IBM. So it is actually providing you with a lot of options to deploy this BI platform across the cloud. Okay, and it actually, when you're deploying the cloud on Amazon or Azure, it actually reduces your deployment complexity by 97%. And the good thing is that it can be deployed within 30 minutes. Okay, when you're deploying on AWS or Azure, your MicroStrategy platform will be up and running within 30 minutes. Like if you go to the traditional way, wherein you need to procure the licenses, you need to prepare for the hardware, then you need to open the firewalls, you need to open the ports. It's actually a long process, and that might take up to 1 week, or in a worst case scenario it can even take 10 working days, who knows. Okay, so with this cloud, once you have this BI platform on cloud, you are able to manage and monitor the cloud instance. You can schedule the tasks, and you can automatically upgrade to the latest release. I mean, you do not have to take the pain of upgrading your environment each and every time. As I was telling that I would be giving a short demo of hyperintelligence, what it actually looks like. Let me show you how it. This is a small topic that I want to touch. I mean, this was not initially part of my agenda, like of designing. It's a really within your organization or within your partner network. Okay, this is my email. Let me just refresh this. Please hang on with me. I don't know why am I. Okay, great. Let me put in my credentials. Okay, let me log on. Fine. Great. Okay. Now, for example, by hyperintelligence, as I was telling, hyperintelligence is something wherein you are injecting analytics directly into the application that you use on a daily basis. I mean, you can use this on top of your Outlook. You can use this on top of your any web application, whether be in an SAP S4 HANA, whether the Oracle ERP, any application that you are using on the web, you can integrate analytics directly with these applications. I'll be showing you how it actually looks like when you integrate this hyperintelligence with Outlook. For example, I am a sales director, and I need to see what is the pipeline for my salesperson Suhail. So usually in a typical scenario, what I do is that usually I have a weekly meeting with my sales team wherein I'm actually spending half of the day understanding their pipeline, understanding the commits that they have, the risk that they have, what are the values of this commit risk, all this stuff. So instead of engaging with them like for a half a day, what I can do is that I can just type in the name of my salesperson. Okay, as a director, you see this salesperson name is actually highlighted. The moment I hover my mouse over this particular name, all the key KPI information that I'm looking for is being given to me, displayed to me. Like his name, what is the sector that he is working, what is the region, what's his email ID like, okay, what's his contact number, what are the leads, what are the qualified leads that he has got, what is the risk value, and how many number of risk has he got, what is the upside, what is the build value, what is the commit. So all this key KPI information that I would have, I mean, this key KPI information I was not having access to. To have access to this information, what I would have had to do is that I had to get in a meeting. I need to meet my salesperson. I need to have a conversation with them and like spend half of a day understanding the complete team. So, but right now with this, no, I am like all the information is being displayed. All the key KPIs are being injected directly into my Outlook, as you can see here. Now let's look for another salesperson, Hassan. I hover the mouse. I get the information regarding him. So first thing, it's I do not need to like personally visit him, like schedule a meeting with them with my sales team and waste half of my day. Second good thing is that I do not need to log into the BI platform, log into the particular folder, access this report. I do not need to do that. I can even access this hypercards direct. The pop-up that you see when I'm hovering over the particular keyword is actually called something called as hypercard. Okay, and the design is actually quite It's actually quite easy to develop these cards. Another design that I would like to show. See, you see this? I'm a, say for example, I need to look. I am a manager at a body shop at a car servicing center. I need to know the status of my cars. Okay, like how many cars have been serviced and how many of them are pending because particular customer is calling me. For example, a customer with the car plate number 109 and has called me in. So what I can do is that instead of having the need to log on to the multiple systems, instead of the need to have log on to the Salesforce, the CRM system, what I can do is that in my email, I just can type 1099 and I just hover over it. I get the key information. You see this? This is how it is actually enabling me. So that's the power of hyperintelligence for MicroStrategy, and then it can be easily integrated. And this is actually a part of the BI platform that comes with the MicroStrategy. Okay, that's pretty much it from my side. Okay, now let's look at if we have any questions coming in. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Yes, it's audible. Thank you, Naveen. Can you, let's
I
wait for 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, let's wait for 1 or 2 minutes
Uh,
for that question. So pretty much
yes.
your session is completed, right?
Yep. 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 It's completed. Yeah.
Okay, guys, if you have any questions, you can drop in your Q&A section.
Yep. Let's see. Okay. Alex, as for the licensing is concerned, like I can. There are two types of licenses. Okay. One is the term licenses, and another one is perpetual based licenses. So there are two separate aspects, a term based and a perpetual based. So this depends on the number of users and the kind of support that you're expecting. I mean, if you're looking for the licenses, then yes, I can actually send you an email on that. Okay, I'll be sending a separate email for the licenses. Okay, thank you. We- Sending the broadcast message. Any other questions? And do you have documentation describing the yes, yes, we have documentations wherein we have the use cases. So when you speak of use cases, I mean, are you looking use cases specific to the hyper intelligence or hypercard, or deploying the BI platform at the enterprise level? Can you please let me know what kind of use cases you're looking at? Okay. Hi, yes. Do you have any documentation describing the use cases? Yes, Alex, I have a lot of them. I will be sharing with you. As a matter of fact, I can show it to you right now. If you give me a second, okay. Just give me a minute, Alex. I will show that to you. Some of the use cases that we have. Okay, then we have. Okay, then partner enablement. Yeah, let me open this for you for hypercards. Okay, sample hypercards. Alex, I believe you're able to see my screen. Insurance and banking. Yes, we do have some really good cards for insurance and banking. I can actually directly jump to that. Insurance and banking. This is for the retail supply chain product card. Yeah, this is for the banking. So these are some of the cards that we have created for the banking, like for the branch, for the relationship manager, for your customers. Like if you're looking at the customer, you're looking at what level of risk they are, what is the KYC status, and what are their YTD, like year to date assets, what are their liabilities like. Okay, and then you have this for the customer again, any complaints. Then you have various use cases like the stock ticker card. The use cases that you see is that it actually helps you boost the productivity and performance of asset management, equity analysis, and private wealth management teams by giving them instant access to stock. This is the stock market card. Okay, this is actually integrated directly with the live data source with the stock market. Then you have the risk card that can be used by the risk management department. It will help you monitor the risk performance metrics, the forecast, and the target to mitigate external and internal risk. Then you have this branch card, like you can have a look like how the branch is performing, what is the customer retention rate like, what is the reliability balance, what is the asset balance, a lot of stuff you can have a look. Then you have a bank sales representative card that you see in here. You can access this thing at the palm of your hand. That's the best thing. Then the wealth management client card, as you see over here. Okay, like with this I can have all the information like what are the funds uh, my wealth advisor is handling. Okay, I know how's the percentage like, what is the average rate of return, what is the asset rank like, what is the investment style like. I can have all this information. You see this, it's a compliance card again, or like the compliant, this actually helps you give access to the latest regulatory compliance status metrics, and this will help banks to ensure adherence to the regulations. So you have the product cards. I mean, if in a bank you have a lot of products that you actually sell to the customers. Then you have this key KPI informations for the products. Then you have the investment portfolio card. So you have a lot of them. Then you have for the insurance. Okay, this is the claim card. I mean, you have a lot of them. We can actually discuss this in detail. I mean, I can send this to you on your email. I believe I have your email. I'll be sending it to you. I hope you had a pretty good idea about this now for this hypercards in the banking and insurance sector. Yes, Alex. Hope we hope we continue our conversation in future also. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye,
Yeah,
Rajesh. Bye,
thank,
everyone.
thank you everyone. As I said in the Q&A, the video is available in our YouTube channel. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for the session.